Welcome to Tea Time in Formula One, YouTube.
We're not Tea Time in Formula One yet. Not until the season starts special.
Then what are we now?
We are just Tea Time with Alex and Peter. Yes,
Wonderful.
indeed. But doesn't mean we're not going to keep the awesomeness of racing out. First of all, let us begin, because last weekend was none other than... Oh, for heaven's sake, where's my volume control? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it was the Daytona 500 over the weekend, and you know what? I don't give a damn because it's dead as far as I'm concerned now.
Yeah, but who did I see won? I forget.
It was none other than Kurt Busch driving a Haas.
Oh my gosh, I knew it was Kurt Busch, but I didn't realize he was driving a Haas.
Yes, he's driving.
I just checked the result and saw the name.
Indeed. So that is good news. Haas is doing well in NASCAR,
Haas.
Indeed, and he may do even better in Formula One. So basically, it was a strange occasion. We had 3 stages for Daytona. They decided to break it up for some reason. It was absolutely pointless. It's absolutely stupid. But apparently, Brian France does not understand his own sport. The fat bastard. No, seriously, he has no idea what he's doing. He's,
the man that's changing all the rules?
Yeah, well,
at least the following of that.
Well, no. He's the one that came up with it. Like, he does not understand the sport. And you know what? There was something interesting I heard recently. Like, usually family businesses die by the 3rd generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because first you have the man, the head honcho, who poured his lifeblood into the company. And then, of course, you have his son, who grew up watching his father pour his lifeblood into the company, appreciating the gruel and grime, and he would be proud to take over. And then, of course, you have the 3rd generation, the grandson in this thing, who does not appreciate the hard work that went into building it and basically squanders it. So that is where Brian France currently is. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I was actually there. I was actually watching it on at Red Robin when I was meeting with.
Sweet.
I saw the 3rd session. And it was nothing but crashes.
Oh, I do recall watching a couple parts of it, and it was just consistent crashes.
Exactly. NASCAR is, that's the problem with ovals.
That's what they're known for.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about proper racing is if you have a crash, you only put the yellow flag up for the one section. But then again, this is NASCAR. The track is basically a huge circular firing range.
They're always going to be around the same area.
Exactly, so the whole pack is a slow down. But anyways, we have some better news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Where is my epic, heroic music? Ladies and gentlemen, last week, several of the teams in the Formula 1 grid revealed their new cars for the year. Well, the rest have finally followed up. First of all, in fact, on Monday, it was the first of 3 days of pre-season testing at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. In fact, we are listening to this, and we are watching the GIF of a McLaren leave the pits. We'll talk more about the car.
Did you just say GIF? That's unacceptable.
I was told it was GIF.
It's GIF.
I was told GIF.
Well, since when is a G pronounced as the J?
In many occasions. Like if you're my dad, his name is Gerard. It's spelled with a G.
You're right.
But anyway, so yes, we are listening to this epic tune, and we are seeing a car pull out of the pits. It looks amazing. In fact, it turns out that under the new leadership of Chase Carey of Liberty Media, apparently Formula One already has a significantly improved online presence. All the Formula One teams have been tweeting out their live action from the event. Formula One itself has been keeping their Twitter up to date. Ladies and gentlemen, with Ding Dong, Bernie Ecclestone is out, and we are finally seeing Formula One come into the fold of modern sports.
Took long enough.
Now, if only the country will do the same. So anyways, let us begin. Mercedes have finally come out with their new car, and, well, they've decided to not go for the shark fin that we've been seeing recently. In fact, instead, the rear of the car is still sloped as normal, but instead they have a T-bone on the top of it. It's like a giant T right in front of the rear wing.
Yes.
Now, at first we thought maybe this is part of some deceptive strategy by Mercedes. They found a loophole and decided to just stick it on to troll the opposition. Well, we will see how it performs when it actually starts racing. And then, of course, McLaren have got their new livery running this year. It is orange. Very, very orange.
Extremely orange.
And it's black on the side. Like, they're really trying to emphasize the Honda components here. And they have a really, really, really stark shark fin on that. Like, that it is a full black fin. Exactly, all the way back. Now, there's some interesting things about this car. First of all, at the front of the car, and we also have images of their new racing overalls. The racing overalls worn by Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll are pure white.
They look good.
And they have a orange and black stripes running down the shoulders all the way down the front and rear of their legs. So they look like spacemen almost. And of course they have a big black Shandon sponsorship on their chests. But when they go to Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, you'll be curious to see what they do with it.
Very good.
Because don't forget, in those countries, alcohol sponsorship is illegal.
Yes.
Now, when the Australian V8 supercars were going to Abu Dhabi, one of the famous vehicles is sponsored by Jack Daniels. So they simply struck it and it says, Jack lives here. And then, of course, when the tobacco advertising ban went into effect, and then you also had the problem of many teams still have a few years to go on their sponsorship contracts, they realized they could not terminate it because they lose all the money, but they cannot advertise the tobacco sponsorships directly. So what did they do? Well, Ferrari got rid of the Marlboro cover and replaced it with a big barcode colored like the Marlboro logo.
That's funny.
And then, of course, the Jordan team, who were known as the Fun Ones, they decided that they would take their sponsor, Benson and Hedges, and simply grind a few letters off so it says "Be on Edge." Yeah. Now, another interesting feature of the oh my. Okay, this is very interesting. We are looking at some more detailed pictures. It looks like that there is a third wing on it, like the apparently like right in front of the cockpit, in front of the wing mirrors. Yes, indeed. Don't distract the radio hosts. Apparently at the front.
We have some fans here.
Indeed we do. But so stay and listen if you are truly fans out there. So what happens is that it looks like that in front of the cockpit, in front of the rearview mirrors, they actually have built a third wing onto it. So I'll be interested to see what that does. And at the front of the car, on these beams which connect the nose to the front wing, it looks like they have fish gills. No, shark gills, actually, if you think about it. I'm assuming that they are getting more air to reach through the nose and under the car for more interesting things. Like, nobody's quite sure what it's for, but either way, this is very interesting.
Very.
But there is something very interesting. Another interesting component about this car is that on the front engine intake, in that small little nacelle right behind the driver's head, they have a sponsorship for CNN, as if to say CNN sucks.
What they put? Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking, and I.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me just reaffirm here: CNN is not fake news. It's laughable, but it's not fake news. It's just disgraceful, plain and simple. But it's not fake. So, and that is McLaren. So that is very exciting. And finally, they finally come. Ferrari. La Scuderia Ferrari has finally revealed the new iteration of La Forza of Enzo Ferrari, El Commendatore himself.
So let's see a couple more shots. The side shot doesn't seem too revealing. It looks classic, honestly.
Indeed. Oh, yes. In fact, this is really interesting. In fact, it looks like that they've gone for a really, really narrow radiator intake. Now, those are the two holes that are on the side of the car.
I see.
And basically what happens is the air comes in, and that helps to cool the engine down, while the little nacelle behind the driver's head is the air intake to aid the internal combustion. And it looks like they have these two big flaps on the front of the in front of the intakes as well. But the interesting thing about this one is that this car has the shark fin as well, you know, the big bore that comes out of the rear nacelle, but they've also have Mercedes wing built in as well. So who knows, maybe Mercedes are onto something, and you know, the guys in Stuttgart and Maranello are both thinking on the same wavelength. And it looks like they too are running that clever third wing design from the McLaren. So we will see how this thing performs. And now we come to Williams. They have the most lackluster one, unfortunately.
Yeah, very boring.
Yeah, there's not a lot of interesting aero. In fact, the Martini sponsorship goes on the back wing as well.
Like a big box truck.
Exactly. But and it's also and the rear wing is sponsored by JCB as well, so that is interesting. And this is actually probably the most dull car. It looks very similar to last year's, just they've warped it a bit.
It's simple, and I guess it is what it needs to be, but
yeah. And this is strange. Apparently, somebody in the comments section, because we're getting all of our images and guides from Jalopnik, well, Black Flag on Jalopnik, and somebody. And the user Chicago E36 said, I really dislike the way that the new car looks. At least Ferrari did a decent job of hiding the fin with the livery scheme. Here's a spy shot of the FW40 cars lined up for testing. And it is a long line of billboard trucks in Las Vegas with the advertising for women. Want my number?
Of course. What a Vegas thing to do.
Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, we have America's team as well. Now we are looking at the new Haas, and they've gone really digital. Like the rear wing is definitely, the shark fin, they are running it as well. is pixelated. It looks like something out of Tron, and I think it looks magnificent. I really do.
I do too.
This is a very, very good looking car. In fact, they have a
smart.
exactly, and they also have what looks like a additional wings that wrap around the outside of the air intake nacelles. So obviously, new and experimental aero is a thing, and I think Haas's budgets may have just shot up because that is a lot of interesting aerodynamic work for such a new team. And and we have a really good view of those third wings we're talking about. They're not actually up at the cockpit; they're actually down low. Basically, what used to be the big T-tray actually has holes in it. Hang on, we wanted it's. So you have a really so it's like they have a third wing on it built into the T-tray between the front wheels and the cockpit as well. Unfortunately, they've gone for a very stubby nose thingy.
I think it looks okay.
Oh yeah, well I think this truly is fantastic. In fact, when they posted their video on their official YouTube channel, they decided to go with the really, really epic music. In fact, even the music is just epic enough for this. The Haas team understand what the sport is about. It's not about dubstep. It is about glory. Triumphing over danger and fear and adversity with a machine. That is our triumph. Oh, that is, like I said, their presentation of the car with the music, it just captivates you, doesn't it?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we're gonna move right along, and now Red Bull have come, but they've decided to announce it in a very, very bizarre video. Now, first of all, it doesn't look too complex, not too advanced, but they have a solid shark fin. Now, I'm going to try to talk about what we're seeing in their announcement video. So it first begins with a darkened room of the car. There's a bit of some stylistic flashing, and then wait a minute, we're seeing shadows of a black cat. And we're seeing some flights of studio lights, and we're seeing a flashing neon sign, and we're seeing horseshoes in the forge. What is going on? I have no idea. What on earth is going on here? We're seeing crossed fingers, we're seeing the 777's jackpot, crossed fingers. Holy God, what is going on? What am I smoking? Wait, and now they're putting in footage of broken mirrors and 4-leaf clovers, and 2 birds, and this Esso sponsorship. Oh, the horror! What is going on? I cannot concentrate. I see black cats. I see golden welcome waving cats from Japan. I cannot concentrate. Strange and terrible things are happening all around us.
And a beautiful Formula One is emerging from the chaos.
And it's called, and the RB13, unlucky for some, and it's flickering, and the U and the N in unlucky is flashing in neon.
I like that.
I have no idea what that, so this is the RB13, the 13th Red Bull car. Sorry. And they decided to try to play on that. Like, that was a bit extreme, but okay. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, for once in our life, Toro Rosso has chosen a paint scheme that is completely different than the Red Bulls, so we can actually tell Red Bull and Toro Rosso apart.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, because after all, strictly speaking, the Red Bull, the corporation, have 2 teams on the grid. There's Red Bull proper, and then there's Toro Rosso, their secondary team. So this actually looks more interesting because the shark fin at the rear has definitely got a rear slope on it, and they decided to go with a light blue car with some red stripes and silver Red Bulls. So like I said, we'll actually be able to tell apart. In fact, I quite like what they're doing with the red decorations as well. But beyond that, there really isn't much else that's really special about this vehicle. And what do we have here? Oh, and apparently Scuderia Toro Rosso has had the first broken F1 car of 2017.
Oh, jeez, what happened?
They said that they were going to announce the car on the track, and they announced that due to circumstances beyond our control, the launch presentation of the new car, the STR12, has been delayed by 90 minutes. So, how was that?
That's
the first
funny.
Malfunction of the year. Anyway, so now we've been talking a lot about these shark fins. Now, let me try to emphasize what it looks like again. Okay, so you have the driver's head, and then behind that and up, you have the engine nacelle. Now, last year, you would have the nacelle, and then it slopes downwards, and then you'd reveal the exhaust pipe, and then you have the rear wing. Now, what these shark fins are is it's almost like a billboard is on the back of it. Now, at first, I thought it was what a NASCAR solution, where if the car goes sideways, it will help to stop it, but no. So now, according to the Formula One website, Here's what they have to say about the shark fins of 2017. One unforeseen side effect of 2017's major regulation changes is that some of this season's new cars could feature shark fin wings along the top edge of the engine covers, a solution last seen back in 2011. The change that could prompt their return is the move to the lower and wider rear wings. Last year, the wing was 950 millimeters high and 750 millimeters wide. This season, the respective figures are 800 and 950. It means that on most cars, the rear wing will suffer more from the turbulence generated by air coming off the front axle suspension. The shark fin solution, or airbox sail, as it's sometimes described, dates back to 2008 when Red Bull introduced their RB4 machine. It helps divert turbulent air away from the rear wing, especially while cornering. Ironically, Red Bull are one team who may be less likely to go down this route for 2017, running a high rake angle on the car, as the former champions are renowned for doing. Actually lessens the effect of turbulence coming off from the front, as more of that airflow simply passes under the rear wing. As it stands, Renault are set to be the first team to reveal their new car. Okay, this is an old article, it would seem.
That's okay.
Yeah, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we have said, the tests are on. So we are going to first go on board at the circuit de Catalunya. We are going to go way back in time to the mystical age of the V8 engine. We're going to go to 2013 for Fernando Alonso's onboard lap in the Ferrari at the circuit de Catalunya. Let's begin. Okay, he's coming up. He's coming up on the final run-up. He's on the final corner, riding full power, and he is now on the main straights. He's coming at 290, and he's just crossed the line, 313 kilometers per hour, 316, 17, 320, 7th gear, full power, and now he's about to come to the first corner, breaks down hard to 4th gear, 150, and then on a hard right swipe, and then go into an instant hard left, and now he rides on a long, hard right corner where due to a gust of wind, Fernando Alonso lost his downforce last year and suffered a concussion. He then, after a brief straight, he then goes down to 3rd gear on a tight, hard right. He gets back on the power yet again, and then he breaks down, locks up to the left rear as he goes down 2nd gear, 90 kilometers per hour for a hard hairpin left. The car now travels hard, it swoops left, and now he has to break down hard for a really hard left swoop and feeds into a right kink. He gets back on the power. He's at 250 kilometers per hour, and he steps off on the right-hand corner at 250 kilometers per hour. He's now on a straight yet again. He's back at the boards, 100 meters. He breaks down hard to 90 kilometers per hour, 2nd gear on a hard hairpin left, and now he's about to come to the final series of corners. Bang on the left corner. He scrapes on a short, long right. It's very hard to describe. And he's back on the power, and now he's about to enter the final complex. Bang on the left, scrape on the left, and now he lines up for the final chicane. Bang on the left, and bang on the right, scrape on the left, power. He rides full power on the final hard right, and that, ladies and gentlemen, was one lap of the circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. And that was with the V8.
Very cool.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, so far we've had 3 days of testing in Barcelona. So let us begin with what happened on day 1. First of all, let us give our 3, 2, 1, what a surprise. Hamilton ends first and top for Mercedes. 1, 2, 3.
Surprise.
What a surprise. But there is good news, though, because at the same time, Sebastian Vettel has put the Ferrari in 2nd place, having topped the morning session.
Very good. Good for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us celebrate. I love doing that. And then, of course, on the downside, it looks like that Red Bull and McLaren hit issues, and Kevin Magnussen has tagged the barriers, it would seem. So and then of course we also have lap times are already quicker than 2016 times, and to think that they could very well be sandbagging these cars. Now, what happens is in these testing, sometimes what they'll do is they'll maybe sandbag the cars. They'll make the cars intentionally heavier for 2 purposes. 1, put extra strain on the system so they can get more data, or 2, just to hide their performance from everyone else and ambush them on race day.
Smart.
So what happened was Lewis Hamilton currently holds the leading lap on day 1 at a time of 1:21.765, and Sebastian Vettel was behind in 1:21.8. And of course Felipe Massa is back out there after his emotional retirement events last year. He's back in the saddle, it would seem.
That's what's weird. But
I know, exactly.
Good for him, though.
Yeah. Now, apparently, the question's being asked, how do these new cars look in slow motion? And I gotta say, they look magnificent. We have a picture, have a Toro Rosso from Formula One's official Twitter line going in slow motion, and that looks like it's really planted to the ground. I think that looks spectacular.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, ladies and gentlemen, we're expecting faster cornering speeds. And now, Mercedes have set the standard, and Valtteri Bottas, I think, looks like he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna give Hamilton a run for his money. Now, Hamilton apparently did 156 laps on the first day from last year. This time, he and his teammate combined did 130, so that's pretty impressive. Red Bull, it's not been the greatest opening day for testing at Red Bull, with sensor issues on Daniel Ricciardo's car this morning and a battery problem this afternoon. However, the Australian has now broken through the 20-lap barrier. I'd far rather have the problems here than at the first race, said distinctly unflustered team boss Christian Horner earlier this morning. And good news is they don't appear to be major problems. Both other cars powered by the same power unit are running reasonably okay. One can only assume that Daniel has just been unlucky to have issues on his first day. And Fernando Alonso is back. News and what else is there? Oh yeah, and yes, and everyone is. Oh, I did not see it. Apparently, Haas and Williams are both running the strange T-wings at the rear of their cars. So it's really interesting. In fact, what I think would be really interesting is that if one of them decide to say screw it and decide to meld that onto the rear wing, like I think that would look really fantastic. Like it looks something out of an anime. Oh yeah, it would be fantastic. And what do we have here? And apparently Red Bull. Now you know how some of these cars look. They have a little nubbin at the front nose.
Yes.
Red Bull's has a hole in it.
Oh.
On the Formula One website, speaking of Red Bull, they may not have managed too many laps so far today, but the unique open nose in the RB13 has caught the eye. The F1 technical regulations allow teams to have a single inlet aperture on the nose, provided it is for the purpose of driver cooling. This may well be the primary purpose of the Red Bull design, but knowing Adrian Newey's team, it'll likely have aerodynamic benefits too.
I'm sure.
Adrian Newey is my hero in the engineering world. He's a very, very, very smart man. And what other updates are there from... as far as let's see. Well, okay, apparently, Vettel and Bottas have been training fastest laps that day. As far as apparently, Kevin Magnussen stopped on the track. Haas only officially rolled their 2017 car out this morning, and it hasn't gone to plan. The new recruit, Kevin Magnussen, managed 7 installation laps before hitting issues at pit entry, and he hasn't been back out since. Alonso and McLaren below are the only others yet to set a time the opening morning. And of course, this is the preseason test, which means they have all kinds of interesting telemetry. So like, we have the image of the new McLaren, and it looks like they have like a giant fishing nets set up on the behind the rear tires. Now I believe those are air sensors. So I'm going to assume that those are little pitos. Now the way it works, I believe, is it's collecting data about the airflow using lots of these little tiny air inlets, and basically it can read the force of the air on those little inlets, and that is how you determine the spread of the air on the wings. And apparently Red Bull have been using the hashtag brake superstition in reference in their new car, 13. The RB13.
Well, that's
however,
why I had the black cat. That
exactly. However, rather ominously, Daniel Ricciardo became the first driver to bring out the red flags this year when he brought his machine to a standstill after 4 laps with a sensor issue.
That's funny.
And apparently Renault's Nico Hülkenberg and this first driver are out of the pit lane in the morning, and there's been a steady stream of cars on track ever since. So, yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think. And that is day 1. Day 2. What did happen here? Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, day 2. Raikkonen was the fastest for Ferrari at 0.023 seconds ahead of Hamilton. Now, Haas has joined Ferrari and Mercedes in completing more than 100 laps. There's more problems for McLaren and Sauber, and Force India also hit issues. And Lance Stroll spins, bringing Williams' day to an early halt. Wait, hold on. So who did I identify as the driver for McLaren? I
don't remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just made a mistake. I said McLaren drivers are Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. I was wrong. Lance Stroll drives for Williams. I have no idea who the other driver at McLaren is. I will look that up. And apparently, let's see. So Kimi Raikkonen has just banged out several laps. Now, day 2 leaderboards. Yes, Kimi Raikkonen led the day, 120.960. Hamilton came up second, 120.983. Which means Ferrari. And so, let me see. Late movement. So, I'm trying to see what exactly is going on. Oh! Mika Hakkinen was in the McLaren pits. Good to see him always coming back. And, well, apparently the only blot on Mercedes' day, as promised, footage of Bottas apparently went off track. Yes, Valtteri Bottas was coming around a corner, and apparently what exactly happened? Oh, he was on the long parabolica, and whoa, he spun out, quite seriously, actually. Kicking smoke up, and he banged into the wall. Hello?
Yes.
You're distracted.
I was looking at the radio, not receiver, other receiver, outceiver.
Yeah, so anyways, so as we were saying, it turns out that Valtteri Bottas had a bit of a spectacular spin out on track during day 2. So he came out of the corner, lost downforce, spun out, and banged into the wall. That is quite a disgrace. And then as the session ticked into its final 60 minutes, 2 drivers are tied for the most laps. That was Kimi Räikkönen and Kevin Magnussen at Haas. Stoffel Vandoorne, meanwhile, is on 30. Having managed... Oh, it's Stoffel Vandoorne is now driving for McLaren. And then Vandoorne is set... Blah, 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 blah. And as far as we can tell, there's nothing really going on. And then day 2... And then on day 3, test from news from Spain, Bottas sets a new benchmark on time on ultra softs. Vettel finishes a quarter of a second off despite using soft tires. Stroll hits the barriers while Palmer, Sainz, and Vettel also bring out red flags. Exhaust issues disrupt Red Bull's afternoon. That is interesting.
Man, Red Bull's not having good luck.
It's 13. It's real.
Yep.
Lest we forget what happened with Apollo 13.
No.
Yes, you know that story.
Of course I do.
And what do we have here? Well, apparently, Hamilton continues to pile up those laps. Oh, yeah. Red flags fly shortly after the close of play, and it's Sebastian Vettel. A planned out-of-fuel run, perhaps. The German coasts down the main straight and is quickly picked up by the marshals, who wheel him across the finish line and into the pit lane. His Ferrari crew are waiting with the covers, but a few intrepid photographers are determined to get some sneaky shots of the Ferrari, leading to an amusing dance-off as the Scuderia's crew tries to block a dodging lens from having clean shot. Yeah, they're very, very secretive. In fact, there's a video that somebody compiled of funny moments in Formula One, and one of them was when a Ferrari, I believe, was pulled into the pits, and then they pull up these big white shower curtains to cover the garage. But they didn't actually cover the entire garage. Like, they just put it on the line that separated the 2 pit boxes. So
That's
literally,
funny.
we're just going to block out the guys behind. And then on 98 laps completed for Lance Stroll, so Williams have been forced to call an early end to their running for the second day following Lance Stroll's off early on. The FW40 is back in the garage being assessed by Felipe Massa ahead of Felipe Massa's scheduled day in the car tomorrow. So yeah, apparently he went into the tire wall.
Oh boy.
Red Bull's progress has been slowed. An investigation of exhaust issues has hampered our afternoon, according to a tweet they issued. Daniel Ricciardo completed 48 laps that day, but has stacked on just 19 more in the afternoon as Red Bull worked to solve technical issues on the RB13. And then Sainz and Stroll bring out reds in quick succession. The afternoon proceeded or brought to a halt not once but twice as we have 2 red flags in quick succession. Carlos Sainz, having just surpassed teammate Daniel Kvyat's morning lap tally, is the first to air, beaching his STR12 in the gravel at turn 4. Then no sooner had the track gone green again, Lance Stroll loses it coming out of turn 5 and hits the barrier. That's the 3rd incident in 2 days for the Williams rookie following spins yesterday morning. And then Vettel managed to get up to 2nd position for the end, and these are good signs for McLaren as well. Now, Fernando Alonso has now surpassed his lap tally from day 1 and is closing on 40 laps clocked up to teammate Stoffel Vandoorne yesterday. After all their issues over the first couple of days, McLaren could really do with some putting decent mileage ahead on their Honda-powered MCL32. And then let's see. Apparently, Miss Jolyon Palmer had some hiccups with Renault. So we are on board with a rear-facing camera, and apparently, that shark fin is shaking, and whoa, yeah, he just spins out. I'm not sure what exactly happening. Well, apparently he just spun out spontaneously on the long run-up at turn 3, I think it is. And then ever wondered what it's... Oh, wait a minute, apparently we have footage from the... Apparently... we have a shaking toe in the Haas. Apparently they took some panels off the Haas car, and the driver's toes are wiggling out the top of it.
That's funny.
Wow. And then since Barcelona's layout changed in 2011, the fastest lap on the circuit during a race weekend came in 2010 thanks to Mark Webber, a 1 minute 19.995 in qualifying. Valtteri Bottas has just clocked 1 minute 19.83.8. Now that is showing that we are going fast in these things.
Yes, we are.
And then it looks like McLaren is indeed recovering, and that is our primary updates. Wait, hang on, what's going on here? Oh, Palmer spins a halt to Renault, and apparently he was running the elaborate wind nets, and then the flags went out as Jolyon Palmer spun his Renault into gravel of turn 3. And oh, look at this! Nico Rosberg is in the pits for some reason. I guess he's decided to just see how Valtteri Bottas is gonna give it to Lewis Hamilton. And that is it for day 3. Now, some other interesting bits of news. Now, apparently, Sauber have just signed on female driver Tatiana Calderon from Colombia as their development driver.
Sweet.
So more women in Formula 1. Good for them. That's exactly. And there's also this strange statement. Fernando Alonso says 27 aims to be respectable.
What, so they're going to try and do well?
No, they just want to be respectable. Apparently, because McLaren has been doing so well, Fernando Alonso in particular, that apparently they just want to be considered respectable
That's
again.
funny.
They've been doing so poorly. I'd like to think we can target the second half of the year as a time when we'll be really able to start making useful performance steps. The aim is to look respectable this year, and I'd like to think we can achieve that.
You know what? Aim within your reach, and that's what they're doing.
Indeed. Which is strange. Like, this is McLaren. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the team that gave us the holy trinity of the 1980s. McLaren, the developer, Honda, the engine supplier, and Ayrton Senna, the driver. This was an absolutely legendary performance. And they just haven't been able to make the mojo work. And in fact, last year has been really, really bad ever since Honda returned. Now, this reminds me from 2 years ago, in 11, back at the during the hang on, when was this? It was during the Brazilian Grand Prix 2 years ago. It was in qualifying in which his car broke down, and there was this infamous image where Fernando Alonso was in what is basically a lawn chair in the middle of the track, leaning back, sleeping.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
And then apparently the Twitterverse just captured it.
Oh, of course.
And they've actually launched their own little Photoshop contest. So for instance, the first sample we have here is a screenshot lifted from Titanic.
Of him just lounging out on the deck.
Exactly, as Leonardo DiCaprio is showing Kate Winslet his nude drawings. And then the next clip is Fernando Alonso chilling on the bench with Forrest Gump. Exactly. And then the next one is him on the sidewalk with 3 guys from Hangover.
Oh, man.
And then there's another one where somebody decided to take the faces of the prominent Formula 1 drivers and officials, put their heads onto Gangnam Style, and there's Fernando Alonso in the background on his chair. And then, this is great. Somebody decided to transpose him onto The Last Supper.
Beautiful.
And then somebody else decided
There's Waldo.
Yes, they decided to drop Fernando Alonso onto a beach scene from a Where's Waldo book. Like, that was absolutely legendary, I thought. And, of course, the comment section of his story, Jalopnik and all the former Gawker sites have great comment sections. Now, the headline for this story was, as written by Alanis King, Twitter users share all of their places that F1 driver Fernando Alonso would rather be. And then, of course, somebody decided that a better headline, veteran Jalopnik commentator / Oppo author McMike breaks internet with Fernando Alonso meme. And then somebody else comes out with, no, this is Gawker. You won't believe how this guy used a cursed Spaniard to break the internet. Now, there was another good one. Somebody decided to take a picture of Fernando Alonso just sitting on an Armco barrier with a highly depressed-looking John Wick. And then there's another one of him lounging, sleeping on what is a sunken Bugatti Veyron.
Oh, I've seen that video.
And then, this is brilliant. Somebody decided to take a picture of Fernando Alonso lounging back in the chair of the space jockey from the first Alien movie. I think that's great. Wait, you haven't seen it?
I have not seen any of the Alien.
Oh, that is a shame, really.
I know.
Oh, you see, the whole premise. You see, the first alien that they encounter is on a crashed spaceship, and there's this huge, weird skeletal man. It looks like he's actually fused into the chair of a giant cannon, or we're not sure what it is. And then there's also him in the Porsche pits at Le Mans. I mean, of course, he'd rather be there now. I'm not sure what the significance of his picture is, but there's this guy with a mic screaming his head off. There's a flaming Camaro in the background. There's Fernando Alonso in the far back on his lounge chair. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's now 6:35, so we have approximately 10 minutes to talk about whatever.
How about that 16:9 format that we're starting to look at?
Oh, yes.
I'd like to look into that, actually, because as some of you may know, Mobile World Congress has just passed us by, And
In Barcelona, no less.
yes, and the new LG G6 is releasing with an 18 by what is it? LG G6 aspect ratio. It's crazy. It's beautiful. This phone is very tall. The bezels are barely there, and they're hoping to push the new aspect ratio of 18 by 9 to movie formats and such. So they're really hoping to capture media in terms of creating a wider screen.
18 by 9, yes. Now as I've mentioned, before I realized I forgot to set the record button. My V10 died, and oh my God, it's John Huffnagel, a good old buddy from mine. In approximately 8 minutes, I will be back out, and we will have a good old time. Because after all, we are currently on the air with Tea Time and Formula One. Well, yes, it is. He just complained tea time's in the afternoon. Well, I don't give a damn. I just want to be able to impose myself upon everybody in the duck. So, yes, there's that, and I might... Oh, yes, of course, yes. I will be right out in maybe 3 minutes now, I guess. Well, you know what? I don't have anything else to talk about, so I think...
Whatever's good with you.
You know what? I think we're finished for the evening, honestly.
Also, that a Galaxy S8 is going to have an 18 by 9 display, too.
Oh, and there's a new... And BlackBerry have a new phone out as well.
Which one? Oh, yeah,
the Mercury, exactly.
It's not called that, but anyway, key one. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we will let you back to the mercy of the Radio DJ software.
Bye-bye.
To sales at 101.7 WDSR. Have a wonderful afternoon and night.
Bye-bye.